Welcome to my Cohort 21 final action plan. My original action plan was to either create a Google site or an iBook and think about how they could help to house the information and improve student tracking, especially in a personalized unit. I felt like my students were going everywhere for all of the different resources that they needed for the unit, and I wanted it all to be in one place, while at the same time making it easier for the students to track their information, as well as the teacher to track their progress through the unit. So what I actually did was created both a Google site and an iBook. I really wanted to see the difference between them and what I liked about each so that I could continue forward with one kind of in mind. So in terms of the Google site, I created it for our Unit 4 in Grade 9, our Solving Equations unit. And you'll see there I have a bunch of topics. So when you clicked on each of those topics, it took you to a separate page where you had an Edpuzzle video embedded, the worksheet, as well as an online Google form that was a formative. So a couple of things that I liked about it, it really did a good job housing all of the information in the unit and had it all in one place. It actually let me embed the Edpuzzle videos, which was really, really good because I could embed questions along the way so the students were actively watching the videos, but I could also track their progress as they were watching them through the unit. And I also really liked that I could embed the Google Forms quite easily. And what I had them do is they were marked by Flubaroo, so the students got immediate feedback. It was marked on the spot, and they could tell whether they really understood that topic or if they needed to keep working on it. So some student feedback, I really wanted to gauge kind of what they liked about the Google site. So in terms of Edpuzzle, they really liked that they can stop every once in a while and answer the questions along the way to see if they still understood it as they were watching it. In terms of the formatives, they really liked that it marked it immediately, so they didn't have to wait for the teacher to mark it and give it back. It was all done on the spot, which gave them an indication as to where to go next, which is really, really interesting. And then I liked this because the students talking about how they liked to do the formatives at home because they could still see if they understood it at home versus in class, which kind of reaffirms that I really do like the structure of a unit because students can work at their own pace and where and when they feel most comfortable for certain aspects of it. So things I would change now, one student talked about how when they were writing the quizzes, we had two versions. And students, once they finished one, could move on to the next one. They felt like if they had more options and more questions to do, they could do better. So they didn't like that the questions didn't change, and it makes me think if there's a way to kind of make unlimited formatives. So is there a way to create a quiz that could self-mark and give back to the student, but be unlimited? And it made me think about Khan Academy and some other options out there. But I really like the Google form because I can word the questions a certain way. So I'm still thinking about kind of a way to go from here in terms of unlimited formatives, but it was just something to think about for now. So in terms of the iBook, for Unit 5, we created an iBook, which is our linear relations unit. I really liked it because it, again, very similar to the Google site, did a really good job at housing all of the information in one place. So the student at the beginning of the unit downloaded the iBook, which contained everything for the unit, which was kind of neat. So you could, if a student missed class, you could just say, we're working on this, this, and this, which is on a certain page of the iBook. I really liked especially for this unit, because there's a lot of graphing, it let me embed GeoGebra, which was really handy. And I heard from quite a few students that they liked the iBook because it was all offline. So they could watch the videos and use the different features all offline. They didn't have to be connected to the internet. So what did I learn along the way? I learned that the students liked the Google site because everything was in one place. They liked Edpuzzle because it could check in with them along the way, and I could track their progress, so they had to take some ownership over that. They liked the quick responses of the self-marking formative, so that was really great, and the iBook for its offline abilities. So for me, that means I like the Google site better because I can do more with it. I can embed things like Edpuzzle and formatives, and I know that there's a lot more that I can do with it in terms of tracking. I just haven't quite gotten there yet. So what's next for me? I think I would continue to use the Google Sites to find more of its properties to use and think about what other tools I could embed to make it an even better experience for the student. Um, I would like to find a way to make the tracking easier for the teacher. And any of our personalized units, it can become a little bit of a nightmare to track everything for every student because everyone's at a different place at a different time. And I want to find a way to make it a little bit easier for the teacher to track, but also more straightforward for the student to track. And I'm also possibly thinking about looking into gamifying some of this so that it's not just a series of checklists that the student has to complete and make it a little bit more fun for the students. So some other things I learned along the way, I looked into a little bit of the standard-based feedback, which Ed Hitchcock did his action plan on a few years ago. And I really wanted to integrate it within the unit and not just on the final test. And I really found it valuable because students could get their feedback and know exactly what they had to work on from their quiz. So they could look at it and say, topic 2 is something that I really need to work on, but I really understood topics 1 and 3. So I would like to kind of continue that and see how far I can take it. I also learned how important it is for the students to have the immediate feedback. One of the interesting things about math is there's kind of instant gratification if you get a question right. And I think if you have that aspect built into it, it makes it a little bit more fun. And of course, I learned a lot of ed tech tools along the way. So I learned about Edpuzzle, I learned about ThingLink, and I learned about all of these different aspects that I could use on a Google site or anywhere, which could really kind of enhance what happens in the classroom. So in terms of the cohort experience, like I said in my very first blog post, for me it's the tidbits, the detours, and the in-betweens that I can really learn a lot. And I've had a lot of those experiences this year just through conversations with people and exchanging comments on blog posts. It's the little things along the way that make the learning really exciting and enhance what you're doing. So thank you for listening.